Hello, good evening. Welcome to the lovely Browning Theater. My name is Matthew Payne. I teach media studies here at Notre Dame. I was delighted to be invited to introduce tonight's film. I was a bit surprised too. Mostly delighted, but also surprised. Surprised because I teach mostly new media studies classes here in this building in FTT, Film, Television, and Theater. And as you'll soon see, there's nothing particularly all that new about Stalker, right? Its special effects, as you'll see, were practical effects, usually done on set. The striking color work that you'll see is the result of careful chemical processes and filters. The masterful sound design, as well as the painstaking set direction, all analog practices. Why then ask someone who does digital game studies to introduce this film? It's a good question. One that I think I'll have an answer for. I'll get to that in a moment. So I first discovered Tarkovsky's work when I was studying film production in a previous lifetime. I was there where I saw The Mirror, I saw Sacrifice, Nostalgia, Solaris, and tonight's film, Stalker. So a quick show of hands, since we're a small, intimate group, we already know one another. How many of you guys have seen Stalker before? So sprinkling hands. How many have seen any of Tarkovsky before? Okay, a few more. Excellent. So what to expect? So even if this is the first time you've seen a Tarkovsky film, I think you'll immediately detect a kind of remarkable directorial confidence. It's amazing that he only produced 7 feature-length films over his lifetime, and yet his signature style is as consistent as it is uncompromising. His work is characterized by what I would say is a kind of excessively mannered compositions and, of course, the long takes. His is a cinema of time. It's a cinema of duration. In fact, in an early screening of the film, he was told by a film executive that it needs to be more aggressively edited for audiences to understand it. He responded by introducing even fewer edits in the subsequent cut. And he also said, quote, "I'm only interested in the views of 2 people. One is called Bresson and one is called Bergman." So fully locating himself in that sort of European art house tradition. So Stalker is ostensibly a sci-fi film about a mysterious zone that a military has cordoned off to prevent its exploration. So-called stalkers are hired to escort people to a place called The Room, where they will have their innermost wishes granted. I say it's ostensibly sci-fi because it's actually so much more. Indeed, in 1980, it won the Cannes Film Fest prize of the ecumenical jury, which, quote, honors work of artistic quality which witnesses the power of film to reveal the mysterious depths of human beings through what concerns them, their failings as well as their hopes, end quote. And so Stalker certainly explores these twin themes of hope and of failure. It's also notable that Tarkovsky is the only director to have won this award 3 times. So I'm not going to tell you what Stalker's about. It's because I'm not really sure I know what Stalker's about. It's too enigmatic a film to have a singular meaning. Instead, what I'd like to suggest is that you consider some of these things as you experience Stalker, which, by the way, ranks as the 29th film on the BFI, the British Film Institute's 50 greatest films of all time. So 1, where are we? When are we? Is this a late industrial society? Is it a post-industrial society? Is it post-apocalyptic? A number of critics noted how the film's design seems to anticipate, right, the Chernobyl disaster, which happened 7 years after its production. You'll, of course, note the long tracking shots, but oftentimes we spend time in close-ups, right? We see the stalker, we see the writer, we see the professor. Why do we stay on their faces and not on the setting? Is it a way of getting into their interior lives? What about the film's use of color, right? We begin with the monochromatic sepia-toned city, only to then transition to the lush, colorful zone. Also, the different choices that are used with color in the film's final moments. Pay attention to the sound design. What first seems like sparse audio eventually gives way to sonic complexity. There are also moments when the characters seem to be looking right at us, right at the viewers. Is this a form of direct address? Are we an invisible adventurer going into the zone alongside these folks? Are we part of the zone itself? So Tarkovsky's filmmaking is a cinema of duration, but I would submit to you that it might also be considered a cinema that is tactile and a cinema that is elemental. You can almost feel its surfaces. In making the familiar strange, the film gets us to ask uncomfortable questions that challenge our basic notions as moral and ethical beings. What would you wish for if you could wish for anything? And would we, you, we, us, be deceived by our unconscious desires? So circle back around to the beginning here. So in my game studies classes, we talk about games as liminal experiences that encourage boundary exploration, right? Anytime you play a video game, navigating your avatar or your vehicle, you want to know, well, what are the spaces? What are the extremes? What are the boundaries of that space? So Stalker is obviously not a video game, but it is a film that's all about the exploration of a liminal space, right? Of this journey into a magical zone. It's a kind of spiritual pilgrimage for the stalker, for the writer, and for the professor. And I would suggest it might also be one for us too if we join them into their journey into the zone. All right, enjoy the film.